So, speaking of school, did you? You said you mentioned you went to college. So, did you, go the whole way, get a tertiary education, and what did you study, and how do you find that useful today?
I dropped out, and it was quite a flex because there was a whole Kanye West
Listen, I was about to say. So even when I wrote this question, I was like, low key hoping there's a story. Yeah.
So with my tertiary education, so I completed my school, and then my hopes were to go to UNZA.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another thing, like the idea of picking something to do out of passion or like actually wanting to make a difference, it's kind of alien, like especially like from where I come from, it's really alien. Like they will push you towards whatever seems to make a lot of money.
Of course.
And
I think it's a lot of homes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, it's a lot of homes, yeah.
And I think it's also just a societal thing, So I finish and I'm looking at like the people in the family who seemed to have been doing pretty well. I'm like, okay, you know what? I've seen The Economist has got racks. And then I also look at
it also sounds great. Economist.
I promise.
You're just doing smart shit all day.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, you know what? Like I'd love to go into like the School of Humanities, like where they do that at UNZA, because I had seen someone actually do it, and then my other cousins were doing accounting at Zika's. Okay, yeah. So
that was the ACCA craze when CAT
yes.
and then SCCA. Oh yeah. I was there. I was not at Zika's, but I was there for all of it.
And I was like
culturally.
Of course. So I leave school. I leave high school. And then I applied at UNZA. Unfortunately, like I couldn't get a bursary with the marks that I got. I missed it by 1 point.
Half a point could mess you up in those days.
Yeah. So I mean, the option was there to like pay for it, but then I'm here with a single mother who couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
And then I applied at CBU, and then they said, no, you see, what we're going to do is it's like we can put you in whatever school we choose. And then they went and put me in the School of Natural Sciences, or Natural Resources actually, and I was supposed to graduate with a degree in forestry. So I went there. I stayed 24 hours and I called my mom. And that's the beauty. Like my mom's always given me a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Like, she's my friend. Like she's everybody, and I'm just like, fam, what is this? And some of the subjects which were there listed are subjects that
You and I have such a similar story. Did you know I did natural sciences?
Are you serious?
Except I stuck it out for more than 24 hours. I was there for a year.
I was thinking when you were talking about a microscope, I'm like, wait, you're in HR. Why?
Listen, that's a story. You're the interviewee here, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, I also went to the School of Natural Sciences and that didn't work out. I talked about it in the last episode, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I went there and I was like, what is happening? Yeah.
That's like...
And kudos to understanding moms. Because same thing, my mom was really open to me shifting careers, and this is why I'm where I am today. But like at that moment, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. Probably studying insects. Yeah. And you studying trees.
Yeah.
Very different lives.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
but
we
no.
We would have met in that field.
We would have probably met in that field, in lab coats.
I know. So what do you think about the thorax?
What insect is in this tree?
Exactly.
Or something.
Yes.
Smart.
So when I called mom, she was just like, okay, now you know what? Come back. It's cool. And I was so happy because at the time we had just grouped up with the boys, like with the Zone Fam crew. So I was like, when I came back, I was like, at least I will have an opportunity to continue with making music. Yeah. So I came back here, at least like the Zika's payment plan was a bit better. Like I could just pick the subjects that I was doing, pay for those. Yeah. So I started and I had so much hope. Want to guess? Cat. Yes. Yeah.
I feel like you guys need to form a support group.
No,
you guys who started Cat and didn't see. I know 5 people just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But yes, continue.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, even with that, like, people were doing it for different reasons. Like, I'm here and I'm like, I'll go into it. And then you had, like, these different race kids who were doing it to go and run their businesses. And then there were also some kids who were just, like, these private school kids who are waiting to fly overseas. And then they get there and you're like...
Just chilling. Because you could enter Cat immediately after, like, uni. So there was no, sorry, after high school. So there wasn't like
Exactly.
too stringent the
Yep.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just like, nah, you know what? Like, let me just, try my hand at this. And I didn't like go at it because of like, the payment situation and this and that. So I ended up, it was only supposed to be a year. I think I ended up doing it for 2 years instead. And in those 2 years, I even started like working at a family business and all of that stuff. And I hated the job. I absolutely hated the job. I was just like,
Yeah.
what is
But were you
this?
enjoying the accounting? Were you enjoying the course?
Not the whole of it.
Yeah.
No, not the whole of it.
So
I
you
mean,
you hated the job and you hated school.
I didn't hate school. Zikus was lit, but I
Yeah,
hated the,
yeah.
yeah,
There
that,
was
but
there
I,
was parts of it you liked
yeah.
outside.
Yeah, I really did.
Yeah.
So, and I always felt like even when I started working the job, I was working for an advertising firm, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather be in the room where they're pitching ideas, because if there's one thing that I really understood or I knew that I had was creativity. So yeah, and it was just so mundane. It was so routine. I was like, bruh, like, what's today, the 15th? Okay, so we're calling such and such a company, and we're going to yeah. So I really didn't like that, but at the same time, I had to go back to school. So I started doing school and work, if I'm not mistaken. And then studio also started picking up. So in the morning, we all leave because I wasn't staying on campus. We all leave, like we're going to school. Fam, soon as I just, like, my lecture is done,
Looking.
yeah,
Yeah.
off to studio.
Yeah.
And then eventually I even stopped going to school together.
Completely.
They thought I was going to school. I was just
That
like,
classic story.
yeah. So
Yeah.
ended up dropping out, and I was like, I'm just going to give this music thing a try.
Yeah.
And at the time, like, nobody else had done what we were doing at the time, so it was literally just shooting a shot in the dark. But we had seen that the internet had come through, and we're sort of understanding the dynamics of it. It was like, wait, you mean to tell me that I can reach any part of the world with this tool here, like, instantly? Yeah. So I was like,
Okay.
okay, you know what, somewhere, somehow, like this. And also, like, there was so many gatekeepers with the media, and this is why I'm so happy that the media is finally free.
Like we can do this without asking for permission, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because
Yeah.
like if it was back then, like, ish, this would have been so
Yeah.
regulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ended up trying my hand at that, and I don't like to say it like I'm all the way happy with my decision, because as I have gotten older, there's been times when I actually feel like, okay, now you know what, maybe I should have had a degree by now.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was something that I really enjoyed, like just something which is more of a fallback plan.
That first degree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that being like a degree which is like in the business field, that was something that I could have applied to like my own life, because I have had situations where I look at my finances and they're in shambles,
Yeah.
because I didn't necessarily understand what I was dealing with. So it's like I took all that knowledge that I got and I was just like, to hell with it.
Yeah.
I replaced it with rhymes. But yeah, so I don't like to look at it like, it's just such a great story. Like, I dropped
Yeah.
out, and I really do wish that I did finish school though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's real, because it's not and I'm always telling this like to my nephews, my nieces, because now they're all somehow, I don't know why they're getting into university. They should be like, they were supposed to remain 5. But I'm always telling them, like, just do the first degree. Like, the one thing that I've come to learn over time is you won't regret it. Like, it might not be fun now, and especially get it done when you're younger. So it just gets out of the way, and then pursue whatever you want to pursue, because I just somehow know you won't regret it, especially in an economy or like in a workspace like ours.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely.